So without further ado, I'm going to go quickly on the quick product presentation. I'll try to be as fast as possible because I know you've been introduced to the product. I'll just share with you some comments and opinion about some of the products we're launching, and then I'll try to leave some place for a Q&A session, which probably is the important part of the discussion we're having now. So a very quick overview of the Octo Finissimo collection extension. We have 2 chronographs and 1 watch. So last year we introduced the Octo S, the steel version of the Octo Finissimo, a slightly thicker version compared to the titanium world record holding, but featuring standard let's say advantages of the watch industry, like a 100-meter water resistance and screw-in crown. So in order to make the watch probably more sporty, to give it a more sporty look, and probably a more daily wear kind of approach. Here we launched the black and the blue dial. This time we wanted to propose a clear dial. It's always a challenge for us to propose a clear dial. First, because globally the trend goes for very dark dial, black, blue, green, but rarely clear ones. And but then in clear dials, we didn't want to come with a white presentation, and so Fabrizio and the studio proposed this steel-on-steel version, a monochromatic approach, like in a way as if it was a transcription of the titanium, of the full titanium, you know, this very industrial look of our titanium Octo Finissimo. You've got a steel monochromatic approach to the clear dial. Monochromatic, every time I hear monochromatic, I hear the comments of customers who complain that they purchased the watch and after 2 weeks, they had to drop it because they couldn't read the time. So in order to make sure that we would still provide a timekeeping tool, we postponed the launch of the piece to test it and to test it and wear it. I'm going to play with the watch a little bit, put it in front of light, and you will notice that from whichever angle you look at it, you can read the time. It's actually quite exceptional. There's been a lot of work to play with the contrast of the material. We fine brushed the dial. We really hard polished the indexes, and we angled the hands. Eventually, the work on the dial was complex, but we managed to make sure that the reflection would always be different, and therefore create a contrast which keeps the watch readable in every circumstances. We launched the watch last year, and we launched the chronograph GMT 2 years ago. Of course, this led us to propose an extension of the Octo S with the chronograph GMT version. Another transcription of our concept into a steel 100-meter water resistance, screw-in crown as well design, but with a thickness of 8.9 millimeters. So still an extremely flat dial watch, much flatter than any of the similar piece you could find in this industry, and a superb and superbly elegant watch. In the same time, we are so this year is the year of the chronographs, because we are also launching another version of our initial titanium chronograph. You remember that our world records are always fully in titanium with a titanium bracelet as well. This time we bring in a more sporty look with the black dial and a rubber strap, which is looking a little bit like fabrics, but which actually is rubber to keep the sportiness and the contrast, and to create a very contrasted look between the gray, the matte gray of the case and the shining and let's say actually it's a matte black dial but to contrast between the two colors. This is for the Octo Finissimo collection. I'm jumping on the last product that we are introducing this year. It's a very important to me, very dear to me. For years, we have come to you with world records. Why? Because we deeply, deeply think that micromechanics is, by essence, the natural way for us to push our research and development. Micromechanics allows us to propose small movement, thin movement, to work, which allow then us to deliver elegance, beautiful fitting of the watches on our wrist, be it for men or for ladies. And the latest production, we keep talking about Finissimo, but I would just remind you of the Serpenti Sedutory Tourbillon that we launched last year, which is the smallest tourbillon in the world. It's another expression of the knowledge and the expertise we continue to develop in this field. But we should never forget that we are sitting on a patrimony, on an exceptional horological patrimony that goes largely beyond slim and small watches. And this patrimony is that of chiming watches. We host in this company an extraordinary portfolio of calibers and an exceptional band of people, of extraordinarily talented people. We have watchmakers who can construct Grande Sonnerie. I guess several among you have visited Le Sentier. Don't know. Has anybody among you visited Le Sentier or no one? No hands raised. Okay. As soon as we have flights, as soon as we can travel, please, please, please plan a trip to Switzerland. And I really want you to meet those people. I mean, this is absolutely key. I think it's a best kept secret for us. It's something that is too much of a best kept secret. But a patrimony, it's good to have it. You can worship it. You can put it in the safe, and it's getting dust. And for me, the beauty of watchmaking is that it's a living industry. It's a living language. But a living language means it's modernizing. It's moving forward. So beside the work done on Finissimo, on our small watch, on our mechanical movements for ladies, we have reworked on new proposals for another chiming watch. Here, and we wanted to concentrate on two things. One, improve the performance of the sound coming from our chiming watches. Try to dig further and innovate in the way we want to transfer the sound of our chiming watches. And secondly, bring a modern perspective on the design of those watches. Bring them to the 21st century, the way we have brought extra thin watches, or the way we have worked on some other pieces to modernize the look of those pieces as well. So here is the Octoroma Tourbillon Carillon. It's titanium with the black DLC case, structured, and I will talk a little bit about the case, and it's featuring our new BVL 428 caliber. So I'm going to spend just 2 minutes to talk about the case and the caliber itself. The case is an interesting case. It is actually a case that is emptied. It's almost following the idea of the business. So it's not a business exactly, but it's following the same principle, whereby you can have a very rigid structure, but an emptied but rigid structure. Why do we empty the case? Well, we emptied the case because we want to maximize the transmission of the sound. And to maximize the transmission of the sound, you need to minimize the thickness of the metal surrounding the chimes. Okay? So here, this is how we work the piece, and that you can see here. Then, what about the movement? In this caliber, we have applied to this caliber the same principle as the one applied on the minute repeater, on the two-hammer minute repeater of our Octo Finissimo. We have actually connected the chimes to the case, not to the movement itself. So you can see, I hope I'll be able to show you. Nope, it's here. You can see the hammers here, and you can see that they are fixed to the case. Why that? Because the connection to the case allows for a direct transmission of the wave of the sound of the chimes to the case, and therefore a direct resonance outside. You don't have to transmit the sound through the air between the caliber, the movement itself, and the case first. So here, it's a direct transmission of the sound. Eventually, we've managed to deliver a very crystal and loud sound. I'm going to make you listen to it now. And I know you'd rather play with the watch than me, but unfortunately, this is the best we can do these days. So bear with me. And I didn't cheat. There are no big mics next to the watch. Huh? The mic is far. So this is it for the men's collection. I'm rushing again to give us some time to speak afterwards. Rushing to the ladies collection. And I want to start from, in a way, I finish with the top of the men's collection. I'm going to start with the top of ladies collection with the Diva collection. The Diva, it's for me probably now the best expression of the essence of Bvlgari as a watchmaker, the jeweler of time, the Roman jeweler of time. It's the fusion of the art of the jeweler, of our Italian culture, and our watchmaker expertise. And I want to take those two first examples. We have a trilogy coming this year. To express that is dedicated to the theme of peacocks. You know, as Bvlgari, one source of inspiration of Bvlgari is nature, the beauty of nature. And one of the symbols to express the beauty of nature is the peacocks. And because of the beauty and the natural beauty of the feathers, and also the constant renewal of those feathers season after season. And we have developed the way to work with those feathers and to express the beauty of the peacock. And here we have three new versions of those Diva peacocks. First, this tourbillon limited edition of 10 pieces. A piece that is featuring our skelet, a skelet tourbillon, or tourbillon skelet, with additional bridges connected to the watch, which display those peacock's feathers. And using the technique of the champ levé, whereby the bridges are not emptied, but you are basically digging gold out of the structure in order to place those natural feathers that are varnished and fixed on those bridges. So you see here a complete decoration of the movement, integrating the work of the goldsmiths, the jeweler, the plumassier, so the people who are doing those working on those feathers and posing those feathers. You can see that every feather is fixed so that the axis of the feathers is going upwards and in a certain angle, following a certain let's say projection from the bottom to the top. And which leads to this absolutely marvelous piece of delicacy and sophistication. Another version of a second version of this, let's say, of this connection of our two areas of talent and expertise is the Disky Calibre. For those among you who had the chance to see our previous collections, we presented the Disky collection, which is another Bvlgari caliber, whereby there is no hands, but the indexes are fixed on rotating discs, and the two diamonds are the hours and minutes indicators. We replaced these precious stones, these hard stones, with feathers, with the marquetry of feathers, very cut and adjusted feathers to create this construction, which is absolutely stunning. What you have to know, and the little secret behind those construction, the little nightmare behind those construction, is the fact that the Disky movement is adjusted based on the weight of the discs. Why? Because depending on the weight of the disc, the force needed to organize the rotation at the right speed of the disc is different. Here, those discs with the feathers are lighter than the previous ones. So we had to recalculate the construction of the Calibre, and we built a parallel Calibre, disc Calibre. It's not the same as the previous one, in order to match this design. So every time the studio is creating a different design with different components, there is a different weight of discs. The constructors have to rebuild the movement. I cannot say that this Calibre is the favorite one of the constructors. They don't really like to reconstruct, rebuild, and recalculate the calibers. But I believe on the other end that this kind of connection, this kind of dialogue between the studio and our watchmakers, it's a real kind of signature of Bvlgari as a watchmaker. It's probably where we want to push the boundaries and where sometimes creativity is paving the way for the technology, like in way for Finissimo. Last but not least, this is the Diva Peacock watch with the first Diva bracelet. So it's an extraordinary hand-painted dial. We have our own micro painters in our manufacturer. So when you're visiting Le Sentier, you can also go to Seigneur-Légier to see this. It's stunning. It's a work of patience. You've got 14 different colors of blue and green on this dial, and it's featuring this extremely supple and comfortable bracelet, a piece of jewel where you see here the art of our goldsmiths as well in our workshop as well to do this bracelet. So here it is for the Diva collection, Diva Peacock. I'm moving on with the very important introduction in Serpentine. At the end of the day, our icon and probably the most iconic, for me, the definition of a jewelry watch. The wrapping is or by essence, our signature is this expression of another symbol of the company, the Serpentine, the snake. And here we launched 6 years ago the Spiga in a ceramic version. Why? Because we wanted to bring modernity. We created this pattern. We use this pattern, but we love ceramic and we love its modernity. But the problem with ceramic is that there is limited ways to present, to make it more precious, to bring more diamonds. You can't set the ceramic. So here we have actually come back to the origins of the Spiga pattern. The origins were actually in jewelry, and we use this pattern in pieces of jewelry. That you can see here, and that's the name Spiga is really coming from this exact pattern, and we put it on this bracelet. Of course, you cannot create a one big spring, and the construction is slightly different from the one of the previous bracelet that we did. This one is actually an assembly of modules. So every one of those ranks you see is actually, this construction is made of 70 different modules that are connected one to the other, that are actually surrounding the shape of the spring. So you've got a spring internally, here, and surrounding the spring, you add on the 70 different modules, which have different shapes depending on the width of the bracelet. So it's a very detailed and actually a lengthy time to assemble those bracelets. But this is the way and the necessary way to propose a bracelet that is really a piece of jewelry together with a watch. So this watch can come in rose gold with 1 or 2 twirls, and it's also coming in more precious versions in white gold. But what is important, particularly for this season, is every piece you will see on the files we share to you, on the pictures we share to you, you will notice for the ladies collection, every piece is bearing some flavor of the art of the jeweler. And even for, you've seen very expensive pieces. You've seen pieces ranging from 45 to 100, 200,000 euros. But actually, when I'm going to enter into a different price segment, even for products that are much more affordable, we really wanted to propose to our clients the touch of the jeweler, the signature of the Roman jeweler. And so we are introducing this new Serpenti Tubo gas. So it's a black dial, but it's a black dial with a set bezel. It's simple. It's probably symbolic to many people, but this is a jewel. This is a supple bracelet. This is again the signature of the wrapping, and it's the flavor. It's the access. It's the one first step in the world of Bvlgari, the Roman jeweler. And together with this Serpenti collection, we are also launching new versions of our the Lucia, the Lucia, which is our classic round watch, and we launched Lucia Intarsio. So Lucia Intarsio means marquetry in Italian, and those Lucia watches, they feature a dial, which is a dial in 3 dimensions, and this dial is an assembly of more than 100 pieces of mother of pearl. So those angled mother of pearl that are assembled to create this fan. So it's actually bringing the world of métier d'art, of métier d'arte, of those techniques of decoration, of precious decoration, to a different price point, to a more affordable price point. So it's in steel watches with always some diamond setting. And it's really, to me, stunning dials, very simple in a way, but also very, very precious and complex in the play of light that you can do thanks to these angles of mother of pearl and this reflection of the light on the reflection on the dial. And at the end of the day, the perfect way to illustrate the name of this collection, Lucia, which means light in Italian. I am done with the presentation in less than 20 minutes. But now, please, I mean, the stage is yours for question and answers, because I guess you probably have different questions to ask.
First of all, awesome collection and a great breadth. You said that the gongs for the carillon are connected to the case.
Yes.
So what is your procedure for mounting the movement into that?
So actually, we are engaging the movement into the case. And the problem and the question is, how do you connect the gong to the chimes, I guess? And this is the whole complexity. This is exactly the complexity. It's a very complex work, because basically you are engaging the movement, and then you need to check the quality of the sound. So it's really a work that basically that you have to sometimes do several times, because it's a matter of tooling and of fixing and to adjust the movement to the case. We to the case itself. We already did it with the Octo Finissimo minute repeater. We use the same technique. So, but clearly it's not technically complicated, but it requires an extremely delicacy in the way to fix the calibre. Okay, because you fix it from the top actually, and then you're fixing the bezel on top.
Okay. Okay, I have another question.
Come on.
Okay, how hard was it to make that monochromatic dial? Because when you were moving it, you really did see that it had a different look from all the different angles. How did you do that?
Well, it's it's the first time in my career that I work in such an integrated company, it's taken some time for Bvlgari to digest the construction of its watchmaking pole, of the whole, the development and the companies that were purchased over time. But we forget that this move was made more than 20 years ago. And over time, there's been a great work in integrating our different functions, in making people work really together, not with a site delivering dial for another for the site that is encaging the dials and putting the T2, T3. It's a real team work. And here we are very lucky that we can work with our prototypists directly in Neuchâtel and the studio and the developers. And this means that basically you're testing. And more, we're developing our library of dials that we are producing ourselves. And it's an extraordinary luxury that you're having this capacity to play with, to almost like I wouldn't say freedom, because eventually this is costing a lot of money, but you've got a large capacity to test and run, to test and run and test and run. And you test, you try, you check. So you test texture. We invest in machines to create different textures on the dials. And eventually, because also we have a studio of people that are extremely experienced. I mean, we should never forget that Fabrizio has been in this job for 18 years. And he really has a, and it's true. Of course, you all know Fabrizio, but Fabrizio has a team of 5 people working with him. I mean, how many brands in this industry have a studio, an in-house studio of such a pool of people? And those experienced people, they have the capacity to provide very precise instructions to our prototypists because they have this experience. They've done plenty. We've got the library. So every time, I mean, the work that you can see on the calibers is happening in plenty of, in different categories, and not only just on the movement itself. It can be on the dial, it can be on the case. The same thing goes with the case of the minute repeater. It's a new experience for us. This is more of a different, a new area of exploration, but we have the capacity. I mean, I mean it's 1 hour driving. It's a call, and when we can have tests, and it's really testing, honestly.
So that means you were prototyping and testing all the different finishes, all the different polishes, all of that?
We are not all, but I could say now that there is not one product in our plans that doesn't go through a moment of validation among a set of different dials. I'm just thinking with hindsight of the recent product meetings we've had, and I probably, for every piece we've worked on, there were, after pre-selection by the studio, a final selection of different finishings and variations. Yes.
Okay. It's brilliant. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much to all of you. I wish you a very good day, and I hope you physically before 2022.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.